Welcome to The Weird Canadian. I'm your host, Cody Johnston, and today we're diving into one of the most fascinating and controversial applications of artificial intelligence: understanding what people really think. Can AI truly capture complexity of human opinion, or are we creating sophisticated echo chambers? Today, I'm joined by Sharif Amlani, a guest who brings a unique perspective to this question. With a PhD in political science and a background in academic research, he's not your typical tech founder. As the founder of HumanAI, a startup backed by UC Berkeley, he's building an AI that simulates human behavior to revolutionize public opinion research. And I've got some tough questions for him. Sharif, welcome to the show.
Perfect. Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
So am I. I appreciate that you're both the political background and tech background, because it's my background as well, so we can get a little geeky here.
Excellent. Excellent. I can't wait.
All right. So I just want to start off on the first question we have. As a political science, where are the biggest cracks in our current understanding of public opinion?
That's a great question. So as a political scientist, where are the biggest cracks in our understanding of public opinion? We have a pretty good understanding of how political behavior sort of works, in that there's long-running studies that show that partisanship, for example, is the sort of the number one driver in people's political attitudes, their likelihood of voting, their attitudes about issues. We know that partisanship is usually inherited by your parents, and we know that the communities that you exist in and the social networks that you're a part of can reinforce your partisanship and therefore your political attitudes. We are still trying to come to terms with how this idea of affective polarization, or the idea that our attitudes and feelings toward the other party, given our partisanship, how that is affecting the current political landscape, how that's affecting how we view each other, how we view the news, how we take in information, how we process information, how we experience misinformation. Our feelings about our dislike for the other party can cloud our judgments and our thinking in the same way that our love for our party can move our attitudes. And so that is, when I was going through my PhD program, that was one of the hottest topics. And now with the state of current political climate, it is a question that is increasingly more important, because as we move through this current political climate, having a more fundamental understanding of how our affect or how our dislike for the other party is shaping democracy, is shaping our attitudes, is an incredibly important question.
Well, I hope, like me out there, it's shaping people to actually stand up for what they believe in and speak out, because we don't have enough of that as far as I'm concerned. But it is
Sure.
echo chambers across barriers. It really did seem like the polling was, or the political election was shifted by public opinion. That's how it felt from everybody in the world, I think. How do you think traditional polling kind of affected that?
What was traditional polling's effect on the election outcome?
Yeah, because I'm interested to see, because we have this whole spectrum of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
but the traditional polling methods that I get shown to, like the who I'm voting for, these tend to be on old, how am I phrasing this, on old interfaces, right? So they're phone calls, or they're letters, or they're things that people don't tend to click on and actually do. So I'm interested to see if the traditional polling actually has any effect on how people feel or how people see the polling. Do you know what I mean?
So there's two sides to the question. Is one, can traditional polling affect an individual's attitude about who they want to vote for, given who other people are voting for? or
Yeah.
or is it that, hey, if you take a poll online versus if you take a poll over the phone versus if you take a poll in person, can you get a different response from the same person?
I think the former is more what I'm looking for because, especially in Canada, I every time I get a survey, I throw it in. Like, and I know like the younger generation doesn't fill those things out, and that definitely skews our polling results. We know it's more of the like the older generation that fills them out, and I'm just interested to see how that actually pushes into the narrative of changing.
Yeah, so you're talking about, hey, we have this sort of crisis in public opinion polling where the quality of the responses that we're getting are low, the cost to get these responses are extremely high, and 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 to what extent we can gain any useful information out of these polls, we're still is still a big question mark, right?
Yeah.
Um, and we saw, yeah, I mean, most famous example of the polls sort of getting it wrong was in 2016, where Donald Trump was, where all the polls said that Hillary Clinton was going to win, but then ultimately at the end of the day, Donald Trump won. I think that we can take a sort of a step back and say one should look at the polls not as sort of absolutes, but as estimates, because they have a margin of error around them, and the results tend to exist in the margin of error somewhere. Um, Another way to think about this is what Nate Silver talks about in his book, which is that, hey, we can take a lot of polls, aggregate them together, and then create some sort of probability distribution around them. And so, given that probability distribution, if you look at 2016, I think he estimated that Trump had a 1/3 chance of winning. Um, and so we can take them sort of as probability estimates, and instead of being a sort of absolute truth. But that still doesn't get away from the fact that the response quality in a lot of these polls is extremely poor, and to what extent we can trust what the polls are saying is still a big question that even the best survey scientists are having to grapple with and to um, find solutions for. And it is entire people's jobs to be able to be extremely proficient in survey methodology, to be able to find, as they say, the signal in the noise. And it's extremely rigorous, the whole process, or vetting the responses. Now with AI, there's a lot of concern. Hey, is AI injecting itself into these actual responses as well? And does that how much is that going to skew the quality and the trustworthiness of these polls? So, yeah, these questions that you raised are still outstanding.
I tend to question that a lot, especially my entire life, because I look at I'm a very forward looking person. So like I'm in future tech already, and I'm thinking about how we can leverage the latest and greatest tech. And then sometimes I forget that we're not there yet.
So,
It's an invention, but it's not like usable as like a commercial grade product yet. So sometimes I forget that I ask these questions, and it's like we haven't even solved these problems yet. So it's completely
always new,
understandable.
and always new challenges coming up, right? With AI, I mean, if the history of public opinion polling is always one of just continuous innovation. When phones were developed, then when the internet was developed, and then with social media, and then with now AI. It's like how do we keep up with and get ahead of the opportunities and the challenges that exist.
Do you have an aha moment where you realized this was a very big problem?
With polling,
Yeah, like where you really felt inspired that you needed to tackle this problem.
uh, yeah, well, when I was back in grad school, um, my co-author and I were working on. We built two surveys that we wanted to field out into the real world, and we were first off grad students, so we didn't have any money, right?
Yeah.
So we had to fund these surveys ourselves. And it was about, and this is the bottom of the barrel. Like we got the cheapest, which is like the worst, not the worst sample you can get, but there were still question marks around that. And it cost us $2,000. So we both paid $1,000 each to get, and thankfully we had help from our professors. But we spent we spent months going back and iterating, oh, what questions should we ask? What about these questions? How do you think these questions are going to play? All in the sort of theoretical realm of maybe this will work, maybe it won't work, relying on the literature to be able to sort of guide our thinking. And then after 6 or 7 months of going back with the questions and everything, we had to test out the surveys that we got. That we had to test our surveys, and we tested our surveys on the undergraduates, obviously the most representative population of individuals in the U.S., the undergrads in Davis, California, where it's just huge liberal. So, we're testing out, and we're essentially sort of just testing out, does this sort of theory work out? Does that theory work out? Because before we go and spend our, which to us is extremely cheap relative to how much surveys actually cost in the real world. And so we're testing these surveys on the undergrads, and then we're getting some weird results, and and that skews your perception of what the actual results might be. Even though the results that we're getting in from the undergrads are totally biased, they're not going to be representative of any individual out there. And so we figured we spent a few more months iterating the questions on the undergrads before we finally send out our surveys to what then was Lucid, where we had 2 different waves of the survey, and we were trying, spending so much time trying to make sure that the responses are coming in correctly and everything, because when you finally send out the survey, you're sort of holding your breath to make sure that everything goes smoothly, and that entire experience, while it was the best time because my co-author was also my best friend, we saw the rigors of how extremely challenging it is to put a survey out into the field, to create a survey, and to field it successfully. And that's when I sort of realized, hey, maybe there's some opportunities here to, make the surveys more efficient, to reduce the cost, to reduce the time, and to get answers back really efficiently. I'll tell you my aha moment when I realized that AI could help change that trajectory of that efficiency.
I'd love to hear.
So when I was just finishing up my tail end of my graduate school studies when ChatGPT finally dropped, and at that time I was finishing up my dissertation. And now here's the thing that can just like write, perilous amounts of text and everything. And so on the one hand, I was like, dang. But on the other hand, I realized that the world was going to change quickly, and it was going to change dramatically at that point. I mean, just the fact that you could write in a sentence and it could just proofread it for you right then and there. I mean, that was just that would have been game changing enough for it to take my money. But then, the wheels started to turn, and one of my good friends in graduate school, she was doing her dissertation on this idea of synthetic AI respondents. And so through her, I got inspired to also dip my toe into that realm. And I thought the idea of creating a synthetic AI response was just incredibly fascinating because of the challenge associated with getting an LLM to mirror how humans think, behave, what their attitudes are, because of the given complexities that exist when it comes to human responses on surveys, or just human behavior and human attitudes. It's incredibly challenging, but also incredibly interesting as well.
I'd be interested to see if you'd be able to gain access to like the behavioral data off of ChatGPT's on the individual basis. Like if you could get sanitized essentially human data because LLMs are a reflection of the humans who use it. So you find the humans who use it the most, then you've got an active reflection of them. I wonder if you could somehow gain that data to be able to use that as a metric. But that's a crazy thought that I was just thinking about.
Yeah. Uh, well, we had, one of our ideas that one idea that is floating out there, and that there was a Stanford study on this idea. It's called creating a digital twin or an AI twin, where
Yeah.
you would essentially transcribe your life story from your background to your values to your upbringing, all the way through where you are today. So you're essentially just transcribing your entire life, and the LLM could assume your identity like an actor would a role and respond to questions um, based on your context. Now, these interviews that would happen would be like 2 hours long. So it would really get deep into your background, into your, who you are. And that's one idea that's sort of floating out there is like, can we create digital twins, and could digital twins help out in survey research in some way? This is all sort of like novel, cutting edge stuff. But what the Stanford study found is that after creating digital twins and having the human and the digital twin take the same survey questions, that the responses lined up about 85% of the time, which as a first cut, I say that's pretty impressive.
I won't create my own digital twin until it's 100%, and I can have it on my own personal server.
Sure. Yeah,
There's a
absolutely.
few paranoia things I'm worried about. Mainly, I love AI, but I am also very cautious of its usage right now because we know with the states they're still collecting the data. It's not privatized,
Sure.
um, and I don't want a digital twin that can copy me. I know ChatGPT could probably create a convincing version of me now, but I don't want a real version of me, like 100% confirmed out there that somebody else can control. That just seems way wrong.
Sure. Yeah. It's almost like a dystopian sort of a thought almost.
Yeah. So that kind of gets us into your company. Can we go into? Can you explain what your company is, how it does things, and just kind of give people an elevator pitch to kind of showcase what it is?
Sure, absolutely. So my company, HumanAI, helps researchers get closer to the truth using AI tools for public opinion research. And so there are three modules that we're working on right now. The first is a survey module, a message testing module, which helps researchers, market researchers, product developers, political consultants write better research questions, write better survey questions, and helps guide you along the process of writing survey questions, developing your survey. There'll be an AI assistant that will help you draft the survey, and you can pull in stuff from the internet to help inform your survey. The second part of the module is an AI data science and survey science analysis agent. So you can imagine uploading your data and conversing with the AI to get the crosstabs, the top lines, the rundown hypothesis, all using natural language alone. So you're doing the data analysis just by conversing with the AI, and then our flagship product that we think has a lot of great potential, but is certainly an H3 Horizon product is this idea of synthetic AI respondents, which you'll be able to come onto the platform and using the survey questions that you wrote, test your idea on our AI respondents that are sort of fine-tuned to respond in the way humans would respond, just so that you can either get a first cut, you can test your survey out, see where the problems are, and either get you insights more quickly or help you develop your questionnaire to get better insights when you survey on humans.
I like that you're using it more as a guideline tool as opposed to just do it yourself, do it itself.
Sure.
Do you have a reason like for that? I know you're human AI, but at the same time, is it because you want a human in the loop for all of that, or is automation future?
The automate, and what part? The synthetic part?
Yeah, the synthetic part, like to have, because it acts as a tool to help you develop your forms, right? So as a synthetic AI, I like that you're including the human as well.
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. You know, the despite all the great literature on synthetic respondents, it's still not 100%. Like you can't rely on a synthetic respondent to mirror what a human would say uh, at this time point on this particular question in this particular context. It's still, you know, not 100%. So we that's why I think we see it as something that's going to be much more into the future, but that could be extremely helpful and useful in giving you some sort of directionally helpful results. So, for example, you know, when you're writing a survey, you can't make the survey terribly long. Um, People's attention spans really only last about 15 minutes. That's about it, you know. But as survey researchers, as scientists, as academics, like we want like all these questions answered, right? 45 minutes, 1 hour answered, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but that's just not sort of feasible. So the synthetic AI may be able to sort of help you in your theory, reduce, for example, reduce those questions down to something that is much more manageable and that much more targeted.
Fair. I can imagine three questions, and I'm like, do I really want to go any further with this? It's only if I'm really pissed off am I really filling those things out.
Yes.
Um, so, do you also have a feedback loop in that, so that as they actually launch something, they can put in the actual survey results to learn from it?
Oh, I mean, that is something that's on the roadmap that we would just, oh, I mean, absolutely love to do. Um, it's not implemented today,
Yeah.
but if there's a lot of support and a lot of interest, like we would, I mean, would love to do that. That's why we want to make our platform actually um, where you can survey real humans as well on it, so that you come onto the platform and you can take the survey taken by real humans and then and compared with the AI respondents as well, so that you can see how well they matched up, and so that you can do the entire process on the platform.
On top of that, you get a hell of a lot of learning data from it.
That helps too, and that helps to push the science forward, you know, so that we can generate better results for the client, for our researchers to make their job and give them more information to make better decisions.
um, I have a question here that I was thought I remembered. How do you ensure that the data going in is good? Like, do you have like complex sterilization uh, guardrails?
For the clients, and yeah, we have both
Yeah.
for the clients and for the models that we'll be training on. Is that
Okay.
yeah, we and anonymization is extremely important in the world, in academic and in the research world. And so yeah, we take that policy very seriously.
I I don't understand why we don't have robust policy laws. It really doesn't make sense to me, especially like after the last 20 years, where the internet has literally shown us that our data isn't ours. Why hasn't somebody stepped up and actually said like, "Yo, we need privacy"? Um,
For sure.
but I digress. I want to get into your founder's journey a little bit. You have a background that's quite different. What was it really just the curiosity that drove you to get into tech, or do you actually like do you play with tech yourself as well?
Ah, sure. Yeah. Um, so yeah, my founder's story is I guess sort of it's very untraditional for a political. I'll say it's extremely untraditional for a political scientist to start a tech startup. But my, you know, the seeds for this were always planted like my dad, he is an entrepreneur. He's owned hotels, owned restaurants. So that's always been in the background. Um, and I've always wanted to start some sort of company at some point. And when I went through grad school, I was extremely interested in methodology and statistics and coding and all of these, and in research, all the tools that can help researchers answer interesting questions. So I was always interested in that. And then when ChatGPT came out, and I saw just like extreme potential, I worked for a couple of years at Moody's, where where I worked on a bunch of generative AI projects, and so that really gave me a great education into tech, and into the world of generative AI and into building generative AI applications, using the generative AI tools that exist out there. But I'm not an extremely tech sophisticated person. Like this time, this project was the first one where I ever deployed, a front end and deployed an API and deployed a back end. Like my technical skills really exist in the research realm, um, which in a project like synthetic respondents is, if you can only choose one, it's probably best that you are the best at like doing the research. And so all these other skills I developed along the way. But yeah, I never would have thought or guessed or seen myself being a tech founder or CEO. And I don't think that would have been possible for me to do, unless unless ChatGPT came out. Um, I could have been, and I still play around with the idea of maybe I can do some, more research on the side, or be a research consultant and whatnot. But just the curiosity and the curiosity to tackle and solve hard problems has always been a in my blood, I guess. And so trying to figure out something like synthetic respondents that is very challenging is extremely appealing to me.
It's I love the enthusiasm in your voice because the same moment happened for me when as soon as I saw ChatGPT, I was working for the Ministry of Transportation, and it was very much just a oh shit.
Yeah.
I might not have a job. I might blah, blah, blah. Oh wait, I can do this whole thing. Like I didn't think I could start my own, run my own company, do this podcasting, any of it. ChatGPT, LLMs have given me the empowerment to be a better self and to work towards fixing the bigger problems
Right.
I that the world has. This is the one thing I think. Before ChatGPT, there was a world where everybody was just like doom and gloom. There was nothing. Like, the only savior was Bitcoin because blockchain was like the pinnacle of technology. I remember that, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll invest in Bitcoin, but I don't. I couldn't grasp the tech to get into it. But yeah, as soon as ChatGPT came out, I'm like, I now can inherit intellect whenever I need it on whatever I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And I can't wait till Sora gets even better because I have some sci-fi TV shows going to come out soon.
Yeah.
I just created my own theme song this morning.
Oh, that's awesome. Come on. Come on. Dude,
It's
100%. One, I literally remember telling my girlfriend, this was a couple of days after ChatGPT. I told her the speed of innovation over the next 10 years is going to be significantly faster than the speed of innovation in the past 10 years, just because of how much more quickly we can move, the output that we can get, the time from vision to outcome, and product is dramatically reduced. Um, I mean, I'm just like, because I went to grad school, no ChatGPT, you
yeah,
know, and that was like learning to code, learning about methods, learning how to read the literature, learning, writing the dissertation, or writing, the however many academic articles I'd written at the time. Like the time that it took from vision to outcome was just like it was a long time relative to
yeah,
relative to now, especially. But now I have more ideas than I can. Now I have more ideas than even I can like physically execute on, because of the opportunities to do and put out output is just incredible now.
yeah, and it gets better every day. Like I even even back, like I thought when they signed that letter not too long ago about the OpenAI letter saying like let's stop development of LLMs for this moment. At that point, I'm like, you've already broken the barrier. There is no going back. There is no
Yeah.
stopping. You released it to the world. Everybody has access to the core code. They can create their own models. They can do whatever they want. It's out there. It is. We are now cat's out of the bag. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. But I ultimately think it's a game changer for people who needed the agency to be hopeful.
Right.
Um, being able to have no money and still be able to access and work in across domains to be able to serve one purpose. I think that's gonna power so many people. And I'm just next year, I can't wait to see the wave of application, video games, TV shows, movies. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Is there anything you're hopeful for?
From the AI.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, the agentic control, like being able to do things on your behalf. Like, I mean, I was playing around with Perplexity's Comet, and that one is pretty good. Like, you can ask it to do things, like check your email or check this, or write this or proofread that, or do stuff on the internet. That is pretty impressive. But being able for it to work for you while you're sleeping, that is something that I'm like extremely excited about. I give it a task like make this front end or make this back end, or find me X amount of leads or do research here, and it does it like while I'm sleeping. Oh man, that's amazing.
so I've had an LLM that's done that for about 6 months.
Oh, really?
It's not a browser based one, so it's still limited in its tasks. Like it still goes through the browser, but like CAPTCHA kind of gets it sometimes.
Sure.
But it's called Manus. I
Okay.
use it all the time. It's my primary one. It's a Chinese one, so just be cautious of that.
Sure.
But it's had task scheduling, emailing. It does my visuals. It does my research. It like deep dives all across the internet to get me the information I need. Like I'm looking at like outputs of your entire life because of this
Oh,
LLM.
wow, that's awesome.
So it's definitely a one that works on your behalf while you're asleep. Um,
Okay, I'll check. Yeah, see, I mean, these tools that there's so many out there. It's hard to even keep track of them all. You know?
that's yeah. It's becoming to the point where like you can't keep track of them. And even the ones you do, you've got to watch because like they just change to what they want. So like they'll launch something and it's not. It's like oh this is great, and then the application will envision something completely different,
Hmm.
and then you're like, where's all that I wanted? But um, this one's been very good to me. It's had like agent for longer than Open AI. It's been the
Wow,
best LLM that I've had so far. So yes, hands down, worth it.
perfect. That's awesome. I'll definitely check it out. That's great. Shout out to Manus,
Um,
then.
and also they do a whole bunch of scholarship stuff around the world too to help people build and scale companies. I think their main purpose is to give individuals the ability to build companies on their own.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's
All right,
interesting.
that's awesome.
Um, so I want to get into a little bit of sci-fi. Um,
Sure.
what happens if your synthetic respondents become more indistinguishable from real people? Like, is there a world where decisions start getting made by AI instead of us?
Generally so? Or
Yeah, like just like so we put out these surveys. They're gonna be start becoming 100% synthetic humans that respond accurately as humans. Um, but then you also put into the question: do these synthetics like can they coordinate? Are they going to coordinate to start driving people's ideas of things? Um, just wondering your opinions on that.
um, I don't usually subscribe to the ideas that like the AI is going to um,
Have some
coordinate.
ulterior motive.
coordinate against us. I see them more as just numbers and outputs from a model than like a sentient sort of being. Um, I don't really subscribe to the idea that like the Terminator is, we're on like the Terminator arc or anything like that. Um, I do believe that, hey, we got to put some guardrails on this thing to prevent against abuse, to prevent against the model providing outputs that could provide a harm or misinformation or lead to some sort of terrible outcome. But in terms of like the models colluding against us for their own material gain, I see that as sort of I, I tend to see that as sort of a lower probability outcome.
I think the general consensus is it's a low probability outcome. Mainly because as you look at AI, it's all prompt based. Like they need some sort of reason to do something right now. And even everybody who works in AI has said like we don't ever think it's going to get away from needing some human to say, "Hey, I need this" or "do this." Um, yeah, like
Yeah, I see. I
so
mean, if
yeah.
if anything, uh, if anything, I think that the biggest risk to AI are the humans that are, just like any powerful technology, you know, um, it's all about how humans decide that it gets used. And there's always technology that is used for, you know, it's like gunpowder can power, guns, and it can power fireworks. Social media can bring people together, or it can cause people to move apart. And so the biggest risk to AI, I don't think is AI. It's the humans that are behind it.
Um, it speaks to actually the I just watched that Jane Goodall documentary, and her last message was one of hope, and it really sat with me. Like, she believes that the majority of humans are decent.
For
Um,
sure.
I hope that's the case because I really think if it ever gets to the point where a bad actor tries to do something, I think you'll have too many good actors standing up. Um,
I hope
I
that's the best we can hope for. I mean, we see plenty of examples in the world where today and in the past where that wasn't always the case. But there is and always has been and will be a voice for positive change, uh, uh, of hope, of decency, morality, and those are the things that we hope we can clench onto and hold on to, uh, and 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 hope that you know, as Barack Obama said, quoting Martin Luther King, the the um, the long arm of justice bends toward justice. I forgot the quote, but he said that it doesn't bend on its own. And so you hope that these people who are for decency, for morality, they will be the ones that will win out in the end.
I think if we want a Star Trek world, and I think the majority of people on this planet want a Star Trek level technological advance, I think people need to be hopeful. If Star Trek taught us anything, it's working together and putting aside our differences to the common goal is always what gets us further. Um, I don't
Yeah,
know how
absolutely.
far how we gotten this far away from it though. Um, there was one other thing. What if you could solve? Actually, that's a good question. What's one Star Trek invention you wish could be real?
I gotta tell you, I didn't watch Star Trek.
Oh, okay.
I
Are
didn't
you a
watch
Star
Star
Wars?
Star. Yeah, I've seen Star. My girlfriend loves Star Wars. Yeah.
Star Trek is much more. I think it speaks more to the humanity in people,
Hmm.
um, because it's about exploring, about like finding out that you're the idiot stumbling into the situation and causing the
Yeah.
most problems most of the time. It really showcases the stupidity of humans, but also like the good side that once we understand things, we can get along. And then
Awesome.
my things that I want are like a holodeck and a replicator.
Okay. Tell me what are those?
So like a replicator is basically just a 3D printer, but it prints anything. So it like will
Oh,
matter will just form into whatever shape you need it. Um,
that's
Food,
awesome.
water, like structures, that kind of thing. Um, the nice part is we have the precursor. We have 3D printers. They're starting to get better. We're using them in food now. We've got them in steel and concrete. So we're getting there. We have a precursor. Um, but the holodeck is VR without VR. So like you go into a room and the room augments around you. So like the story
Oh,
gets played out with things you can interact with and actually touch and feel and play with. So you could have those games or those adventures, but you actually go and experience those things as a real human being.
that's awesome. Oh man, that's cool. That it brings the holographic world to you as opposed to
Yeah.
you going out there. That's
And
pretty.
I think that's ultimately where we want it to be, right? Like we want to be able to interact with the virtual world. I think back to like Digimon and being like, I wish I could go into the digital world and play around with these monsters. Uh,
That's that's so true. Oh my gosh, amazing.
I do have a question, like a bigger question. Um, Actually, where was I going with that? I don't remember where I was going with that. I have this thought in my head. Um, when it comes to AI development, do you know much about like the data center development, like how it's actually being um, built out?
Only what I've read on, or seen on CNBC,
Okay, yeah, I was just interested because I'm trying to figure out why Canada hasn't started building like Arctic data centers where we
Sure.
don't need water to cool our GPUs, but I'm sure there's much more complexity into that. I'm interested to pick some brains and figure out because to me that makes the perfect sense. You're unlimited wind, unlimited solar, um, unlimited cooling.
Sure.
Basically, there goes all of your costs, and all you're left is with infrastructure that you have to build.
Right.
But I'm very focused on building sustainable buildings too. So like, I have a self sustaining grocery store. I'm trying to like finesse into a business plan and things like
Aw-
that. So um,
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting question. I don't think I have the technical expertise to like speak on that, but I mean, certainly is an interesting. Makes you wonder.
is there anything that I think that you think we should talk about that I've missed?
Um, no, I feel like we covered I feel like we covered everything.
All right. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if there was anything we missed because you have such an extensive background. Um, and you're a geek. I love geeks. So
Yeah.
if you're not a Star Trek or Star Wars person, what geekdom are you in? What geekdom are you part of?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, my background has always been in like in politics and like political science, and that's always been like my first interest and my first love, and I always have like this um well, like we were talking about earlier, and I finally remember the quote. It's
Yeah.
the um the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And then what Barack Obama added on is, it doesn't bend on its own. It's like this idea. So I'm like part of that sort of like this geekdom of that. Like, I always see that there's going to be a better tomorrow than there was today, and I always am excited by innovation and by new ideas, by pushing the boundaries of what's possible, of taking, of being unsatisfied of where we are in the current moment, and always seeing a better future and more potential for tomorrow. And so like I always feel like maybe that's like the geekdom that I'm a part of, is like this idea of of trying the new, of bending the arc, of providing more opportunities to people, of trying to help people, and to create tools and systems that can do things more efficiently, and that can help people get to where they want to go, more in faster and more positive way. I guess that's like my geekdom, I guess.
I'm glad you grew up in the States, to be honest. I think living in Canada would have like killed that in you a little bit. Our political system here is very set in stone. After the 8 years I did it, I couldn't do it anymore. I tried to make change. I'm like, it has to come from without. But the one thing that I've always admired by the political system in the States is it's always inspired change. Um, it's always inspired to like try and do better and try and work towards goals. And Canada's just like, yeah, we're just going to be Canada. And what that means, nobody can answer.
Sure.
But I'm trying. I hope with your data, I hope it can expand across the world and help out a lot more people.
I appreciate that. Me too. That's the goal. And whether it's this idea or something else, like I think my mission is to just help researchers and get better research out there, like get their research out into the world because it's so important. And especially today, in this climate where you know there have been cuts like NIH, there have been cuts to this organization and to that organization, like giving researchers the tools to get great information out there is just so critical to helping people understand themselves, helping humanity understand you know itself, helping myself understand me, and so um, being able to provide those tools and provide that's the real privilege, and I really hope we can make a positive change.
I do as well. Where can people reach you? Do you have any last words? Plug whatever you need to.
Well, thanks so much. This has just been an absolute pleasure, and this has been a great experience. So I can't thank the Weird Canadian enough for the opportunity to be on the platform. But yeah, I'm on LinkedIn under Sharif Amlani. You can go to humanaiinc.com, right? Um, and if you have any questions or anything that I can be helpful with, feel free to message me on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to connect. And thanks again to all the listeners for the time, and thanks so much to you for a great conversation.
Thank you for coming on.